Bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Bless all the paths our feet walk to be free. Yeah.
So today is about you. Today is about loving you and knowing the poetry of your own life, and that everyone is a poet. Have you ever seen a tap dancer tapping out his poem? The rat-a-tat-tat of his shoes against the floor? Heel to toe, the cadence of his verse? Or what of a ballerina as her silk shoes saunter across the stage? Her pirouette, her prose, her silent leaps, the space between each stanza of her sonnet. Then there's the musician who marries each note to the next, telling their story with the stroke of a key, the pluck of a string, or a whispered breath into a fluttering flute. What about the drummer whose rhythm becomes an ode to the time they keep, as their drumsticks become pens to write the lines of their limericks? Perhaps you can see the poet in the painter, who writes her rhymes in colors, each stroke of her brush a masterpiece of metaphors, meeting marvel with meter. Can you see the elegy of an electrician as they wind wires as words? The pentameter of a podiatrist as he writes your foot to walk a straight path? Can you envision an epic and see the elegance of a newborn babe as it suckles its mother's breast for the first time? A new poet born, innately inspired. And what, my brothers and sisters, of those footsteps you take, as each step upon your journey becomes a ballad, each beat of your heart becomes a haiku, every compliment given a couplet of compassion, connecting lives with lyrics and souls with serenades. Everyone is a poet. And everyone is a poet. There's so many different walks of life that we have in our world. Every single person is writing the poem of their life. And the most important part of that is to own that, and to own that we are the poem, we are the poets. No matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you do. This is about the uniqueness. I'm in bare feet again, so I felt the wire under my toes. This is about the uniqueness of your phone. It's all good. Of you, of being you, of loving you, of being in a loving relationship and a love affair with yourself, no matter who you are. So many different people have their self-esteem hooked up to what they do in this life. What if you're a garbage man? I was a garbage man when I was 16 years old, actually. Business was always picking up. But do you think if every garbage man, every single person who did any kind of cleaning in this country quit their jobs, that all the doctors, which was considered a prestigious job, would be able to keep up with the disease that was now caused because of it? Every single person on this planet who has their walk has a walk of purpose and has a walk that is precious to our own creation. They deserve to love themselves just as much as that doctor or that lawyer or that person who has a prestigious career. Every single thing that we have going on in our lives has an opportunity for us to love ourselves. No matter who you are or what you're doing, we're writing the poem of our life all the time. And it can sometimes be in rhyme, in limericks, and sometimes it has no rhyme or reason at all, but it's still your poem. It is still your life, it's still your walk, and the most important part of our life and our walk is to believe in ourselves and love ourselves. I'm always coming from a place of create your own reality. Whether it's a crappy reality we're creating in the moment, we are creating it. And one of the ways to pop out and pop in to the loving reality that we want to create is by virtue of the laws of attraction. And the most important thing in the laws of attraction is that we feel good. Because thought creates absolutely, but our emotions are the fuel behind that. So if I'm thinking all these things that I would like to create, but I feel like crap inside, I'm thwarting my own creation. And if I feel yucky about me, time to take that breath and go back inside and do whatever we can do. The best part of me, Mark Pasqualino, is always going to come from the best part of me. And so is it for you. We can be inspired by other people, but the best part of you is still going to come from you. Sometimes we aspire to be like them, and we're cheating ourselves out of the best part of ourselves. It is our poem. It doesn't even have to make sense to anybody else. No one has to love it except you. Having a love affair with yourself and having a love affair with life and your life is a very important thing. Again, this is about creation. This is about creating what we want, what we aspire to be in our own lives. And it doesn't matter what you want. There's no right or wrong way to be a human. There's behaviors that we've all agreed upon that are acceptable with each other, but there's no right or wrong way to be yourself. We talked about this in the last talk of the 4 agreements, and the 4th agreement was always do your best. So if I'm always doing my best at being me, then I can always just feel good about that person inside of me, and then I'm going to create more and more and more of what I want. Concerning all acts of creation, the moment we begin something, then magic happens. But when we begin it from a place of self-love and truly loving ourselves, real big magic can happen. It's all, again, part of the laws of attraction. It's your poem. What is the prose of your life? What is the limericks in your world? What's the pentameter going on in your own story? Again, it doesn't have to be what Julie's story is or what Becky's story is or what Kimmy's story is. It's our own personal story. Can we lend to ourselves the joy of being ourselves? Can we experience the love of me? We can all, even me as a speaker, can talk about other people's stuff, which I will still do. I'll read other books and talk about other people's stuff as well. But the best part of being me is being me. And remembering that part about yourself is the best part of being yourself. That's what's going to get you the goals that you want. That's what's going to get you closer and closer to your own dreams. As we've talked about all the different things we've taught, from Handbook to Higher Consciousness, Right Use of Will, the 4 agreements, the books that you've read yourself, they all marry to the same thing. That thought creates absolutely. The Buddha said it, Jesus said it. But they all will take us back into this place of inside and reprogramming and letting go of old agreements so that we can do what? Feel good about us. I can feel good about you, but the more I feel, no matter how much I feel good about you, it's not going to do anything for my creation. Now we can let these other people inspire us and bring us to that place so that we can find that best part of us, so that we can look inside and go, you know what? That guy or that girl did this song, this book, this writing, this task. Can you be inspired by somebody sweeping the floor? Will you let yourself? Will you allow yourself to see the poetry in their own life? Yet, as I read this little piece, which is, for me, going to be the foreword to my book of poems, because everybody is a poet, but it doesn't always have to come out in a poem form. We're writing it every day anyway, and it's how are you writing your poem? Sometimes I've written some negative lines in my poetry of life. Sometimes I've written majesty. And it's acknowledging that for yourself and just identifying it and seeing where you're at and knowing that it's all good. We have an opportunity every single morning to start fresh, to start a new poem, or continue the one that we maybe want to edit, maybe want to erase a line and write another line because we realized that last line wasn't as self-loving as it could be. I mean, masters before us have said things like, love thy neighbor as thyself. Not better than, not worse than, not less than, but as. Because that's the most important thing, is that I'm sitting here loving myself. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different for you guys. Where you guys, I'm going to invite you to do something differently. If you could just pass out index cards. If you want to grab a couple because they're flimsier than I thought, and grab a pen as well. Now that meditation's over, I'm going to put this on stronger because it's warm in here today for me. That won't help me. That'll just freeze them. This will help me. So as we're doing this, again, we started meditation today with Just planting your own seeds of how you love yourself, all the different things. So the people who did meditation this morning have a little bit of a head start, because what I'm inviting us all to do is take 10 minutes, 10 whole minutes, and write yourself a love poem. Now, this doesn't have to have rhyming, and it can. It doesn't have to be a haiku, and it can. You may never have rhymed 2 words together in your life. That doesn't matter. We're writing poems every single day, so it could be a love letter to yourself. It can start any way you want it. I would suggest or invite us all to say, I love myself, or I love me, fill in the blank with your name. There's many ways to start this. I'm inviting us to take 10 minutes to go inside and think of all the wonderful things that you love about being you. This is less about your accomplishments in life, because everyone here is brilliant and we've all had wonderful accomplishments. But sometimes we identify ourselves with accomplishments that really didn't make us love ourselves, but it sure did feed our ego, which is fine. If you have to get a little narcissistic about this, go for it. It can be playful, it can be satirical, it could be mushy, it could be romantic. I would invite us to stay away from self-deprecating humor, because this is a love poem to you.
Oh, well.
Oh, well, right? But there's a way that we sometimes, hey, listen, I've done this a lot in my life, thinking I was being funny and didn't realize how I was hurting someone in me. Because it didn't hurt me, but it hurt someone in me. So all these words have to address all of you, loving all the different parts of you. There's a little girl, there's a little boy inside of us all as well. There's a mom, there's a mothering part of us, there's a fathering part. There's many aspects to our personality. Write this poem to everyone inside. As you start to notice different things, you're going to discover that, hey, I haven't even acknowledged this one part of me that I really dig. I really dig this part of myself. I really dig the way I serve people. I really dig fill in the blank. So I'm going to stop talking for a minute so that you guys can be within yourself. Well, we've got 8 more minutes. And then we'll go from there, because I'm going to write some to myself too. Got a lot of different people in the room in all different perspectives that may have seemed silly to you. You may have not wanted to do it. You may have resisted. You may have totally loved that. So was anything particularly easy or hard for anybody? You just shout out.
I kept going outside of me rather than inside.
And that's a very common thing to do. Loving ourselves is a very interesting thing. This is about really discovery. This is always about discovery. We say every morning, well, every Sunday morning anyway, about exploring our humanity and divinity. And what is our divinity but that wonderful God self within us? And God is love. We are God. We are love. Sometimes I forget this my own self when the world is coming at me from any different perspective, be it from the world, be it from another human, which is still the world. I sometimes forget to love this person inside of me. Sometimes these words may be hard to write because we didn't come with an instruction book on how to love ourselves. I wish we did. It would have made life a lot easier, because so many different things that I know I've done in my life wasn't self-loving. I could say I'm an expert in loving you, and I'm still a novice sometimes at loving me. And how many of us can say that same sentence? Because there's a group of loving people before me. So did anything else stand out for anybody? Easy, hard? You don't have to tell us your poem. It's more about the experience of it. Did you want to do it? Did you feel completely lost in how do I write a word of love about myself?
I don't know if this is what Suzanne was saying, but I had to write the whole thing from third person perspective. I couldn't write, I love me. I had to say, you're pretty cool, you this, you that. I had to write from a third person perspective.
Which is still a part of you.
Right.
So that's cool. That's cool though. There's all different dynamics of this. What did anyone else discover, if you're willing to share?
I just looked at the different parts of me. That helped me know what to say, a little girl and a teenager, and just sort of went through different parts of me.
Right on. Right on.
It's easy to love your little kid, you know. So I started there.
Yes, it is, and it's also easy to forget to love our little kid. They're screaming out. Most of the time when we're flustered or angry, it's because we're not taking care of our little kid or loving it in some way, shape, or form. Of being inside and going and being loving with all the parts of us, as Becky was just saying, going through the different stages. I kind of did similar with that. One of the things I want to invite us to do with this is to continue it. A lot of us journal, and a lot of us find the wonder and the power of journaling. What if you never journaled in another moment of your life, but every morning you woke up and you continued this love poem? Every day, for the rest of your life. I think we would all create exactly what we wanted. Because the most important thing is that we love ourselves. The most important thing is that I feel good. Whatever we belief systems, there's 25 whatever people in here, we all have a different belief system. But under the dynamics of the laws of attraction, that will be your magic. But how you feel is going to be that, again, that fuel. It's going to be that rocket fuel that sends it out to the cosmos and brings back to you whatever your dreams and desires are. So as we're going into our daily lives, and if we're feeling yucky about ourselves, what do you think it is we're creating? I've been creating yuck. I've been creating joy too. And sometimes I have to go back into that love poem or to that inner lover within me, or to just look in the mirror and say, you know, I really do dig you. It doesn't have to always be love. It can be, man, I think you're awesome because, or I dig you, or I think you're right on. Whatever flavor it comes out in you. Everyone is writing their poem all the time, and as we look at the different poets out there in the world, they all shine more when they're loving themselves. You see a guy sweeping the floor grumpily, or you see a guy sweeping the floor happily. Which one do you think is a happier person? It doesn't matter what we do. It's back to, again, always doing our best. And if we're always doing our best at loving ourselves, then we're going to discover those ways to do it more and more and more. Because there's been some times where I just didn't know how to love myself. And I had to go inside and say, Spirit, show me. It's so easy for us to say, love yourself. What if I don't know how to do that? Start with these kind of words. Start with talking about all the wonderful things that you know about yourself right off the bat. And if you have to be a little narcissistic at first, then groovy. Do that. Let yourself be smitten with you. Let yourself have a love affair with you. Again, I invite us all to continue this love poem forever and to discover how much more creation will work for you when you're in a loving place with yourself. It's, again, wonderful for us to love everybody else. And I always will say this Mark Twain quote because I love it. Our first love and last love must always be self-love. So I'm going to close us today with just a short little prayer. Spirit, God, Goddess, all that is, may we all be blessed today to feel that love within ourselves for ourselves. May we know the bliss of loving our lives and truly celebrating who we are as an individual in this world. We awaken each day with a new sunrise and another opportunity to say thank you. Thank you for this life. Thank you for the uniqueness that is each of us as a perfect piece of art, a perfect poet, and a perfect poem. And so it is. Thank you.
Oh, the sculptor Michelangelo was asked how he got in the flow and made the lovely David from a giant block of stone. He said, he was in there waiting, my job was simply excavating. I just took away what did not belong. And I know somewhere not so deep inside of me lives that perfect soul that I was meant to be. Let me be the way I was reveal God's perfect work of art. Well, I think we're born on angels' wings. Heaven sends such graceful things, like love without condition, knowing we are not alone. Then descends the soul's dark night, shadows come and block the light, and as the years go by, we turn to stone. My block of stone is made of fear and doubt, but the real me is crying to come out. Let me be the way I was created. Let me find the pure and simple heart. I'll chip away all jealousy and hatred and reveal God's perfect work of art. Let me be the way I was created. Let me find a pure and simple heart. I'll chip away all jealousy and hatred and reveal God's perfect work of art. I'll reveal God's perfect work of art. Bless all